Hello everyone, welcome back to another great episode we're going to have this week here on Eat Sleep Reef. We're going to be giving you a very quick update here on the 50-gallon Infinity Series Mode Aquarium before we kind of really jump into it. One really good thing that I've already found, guys, I don't know if you remember last maybe 10-15 videos, I put coralline algae. It's probably been, I would say, month and a half, 2 months. It was kind of an experiment. I don't know if you guys saw that, but essentially what I did, I grounded up coralline from an established tank, and I ground it up, threw it in the tank. To really understand the theory, I highly recommend you guys go watch the video. But I did mention a lot of people were asking an update and really see when I can start seeing coralline starting to pop in the tank. And believe it or not, the time has come. I can see it. The reason I hadn't done the update is because I wasn't seeing anything yet, but as of now I can say with certainty that we are seeing coralline. But again, I'm going to do a full video on it showing you guys. You can kind of see it here a little bit, but it's a little bit hard to catch on camera. I'm going to have to probably change lens to a macro lens so we can really pick it up. But yeah, the good news is it's already coming in. I guess it really just says that that method does work. Next thing that's pretty obvious, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys are seeing them swimming around. There's been 2 more additions. They're 2 black storms. They're tiny, guys. Like, they're literally, this is my pinky. They're probably about like to here. They're tiny. They're really, really small, beautiful pattern. And those guys are swimming around. You can see here the firefish. Look at him, great personality. He's been pretty shy, but lately he's starting to come out a lot more. You can see the yellow tang and the coal tang. Look at them. I love it because they school together. The yellow tang was a juvenile. Well, as you can see, he's very, very small. And I don't know if you guys know, but tangs, when they're juveniles, I mean, a lot of fish, they tend to school together, obviously for protection in numbers. So these guys are always schooling together. It's very cool to watch them. But yeah, they're doing good. And then I also added, just yesterday, he's hiding down on the bottom. It's hard to see, but it's a royal grama. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see him, but believe me, he's under there. He's under there. He's eating. Pretty much everything's eating. Look at those little guys. They're so cute. Look at that. They're tiny. I mean, enough with that. If not, I'm gonna be blabbering forever. I added some more cleanup crew, but again, what I really want to cover in this video, guys, is gonna be showing you how I like to add copepods into a reef tank. And before we get into that, I want to briefly talk about the importance of having copepods in your reef tank. If you guys aren't aware, what copepods are, I guess in layman's terms, they're kind of like insects, bugs, if you will, in the saltwater hobby. And what they do, they're very beneficial. They clean algae, they eat algae, they really keep algae at bay. They also eat detritus or just food that's obviously very, very small, and break it down even more so obviously it doesn't become too much of a nutrient issue in your reef tank. On top of that, fish can eat them, obviously the bigger ones. Corals also benefit for them. So I mean, it's amazing having them. A lot of people say, well, look, you don't need to add them. Eventually they'll get in your tank. And that's kind of true. You know, eventually they probably will get in the tank. Most coral dips will kill copepods. You know, I highly recommend people to go ahead and add them. So personally, this time around, I went with Reef Nutrition copepods. So, you know, Reef Nutrition's been around for a while. You know, they're not new. They do coral food, very good for pods as well, doing the apex pods and the trigger pods. And again, this is a great way to seed your tank. As far as when's a good time to seed the tank, I highly recommend you guys seeding your tank very early on, because you don't want to have, even me personally, honestly, this was a little bit late. Generally speaking, you shouldn't have as many fish in there. Why? Because, you know, obviously fish will eat them. These guys probably won't eat them. Wrasses and damsels typically tend to go after them. Obviously, if it is a bigger one, they probably will go after it. But yeah, you want to make sure you do seed it early on so, you know, there's no predators that'll try to eat them. And obviously, before you do add any sort of pods, let me turn on the light here on the bottom. You want to make sure you have a refugium, because a refugium, as soon as the light decides to kick on, there we go. A refugium is where it's going to be the refuge for these critters. This is where they're going to live. This is where they're going to be able to multiply, because there's no predators inside the refugium. Obviously here, the only thing that can really kill them is them overflowing into the skimmer, which will ultimately take them out. But obviously, yeah, that's going to happen, but the skimmer is not going to grab every single one of them. And then I guess the other big factor is your filter sock. Now, this tank is going to be running Triton method, so that sock is going to be coming out here very, very soon. The only reason I put it there is because when you do the Triton method, the Chaeto itself acts as a mechanical filtration. You can see it there kind of blocking. You see that? So that'll make sure that everything gets filtered through there, and essentially that becomes your mechanical. So we're actually at the point where if I really wanted to, I can go ahead and take it out. But yeah, guys, so I'm going to quickly walk you through how I recommend you adding your pods into your reef tank. And again, I did cover some of the points, some of the benefits, and I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of others. So let's get right to it. With everything out of the box, we have the phytofeast. So the phytofeast is a phytoplankton that's going to feed the apex and the tigger pods that you can see here. Now, a quick rundown of these foods and what they're good for, starting with fish. These are great for like dwarf angels, anthias, basslets, blennies, butterfly fish, cardinal fish, clownfish, chromis, damsels, dragonets as far as mandarins, foxface, rabbitfish, gobies, dartfish, hawkfish, hogfish, jawfish, pipefish, seahorse, dottybacks, tangs, surgeon, triggers, wrasses, both fairies, and flashers. Now for corals, they're great for SPS, LPS, non-photosynthetic, gorgonians, as well as great for zoas, recordias, shrimps, and anemones. So they cover a broad range of fish and coral. Not only are they beneficial for certain, you can see where they kind of cover the benefits for everything. Now, if you aren't going to add these right away to your tank, just pop the bottle open so they can get air and just let them sit at room temperature. The only one you want to refrigerate is going to be the phytoplankton. That one you must refrigerate. And the other two, if you are going to add them to the tank, just let the bottle sit around room temperature. You can float them in the tank if you want to temperature acclimate them, and then after about 30-40 minutes, go ahead and add them. For you guys out there that do not have a refugium, I know I said earlier you want to have one. Let's say you have an all-in-one. You can still have these. There's no issues with them. The only thing is you may have to replenish them, once a year. Why? Because obviously these guys will reproduce a lot better in a refugium, but that's not to say if you have an all-in-one, you can't add these, because of course in my JBJ I had no issues. The population was always great. And like I said, you may just notice yourself replenishing them once a year. When it comes to adding them to your system, it's very straightforward. If you have a refugium, obviously this is where I recommend you putting them. If you want to shut off the flow for about 15 minutes just to have them grab onto the Chaeto and kind of get acclimated, you can do that. But if you have a fuge, you don't really need to shut off the flow, because as it is, generally there's typically low flow in a fuge. So here you can see me just dropping them in. It's very straightforward. It's a good idea to rinse out the bottle, because there's going to be some left in the bottle. You don't have to, just I want to make sure I get every single one of them out. So that's why you see me rinsing the bottle. Now you're going to do the same here for the apex pods, and as far as that goes, it's very straightforward. If you are doing it in an all-in-one, I recommend you doing it at night and in the display. The reason for it, you don't want anything chasing them, any fish chasing them, and also gives them time to get in the rock, to get in the sand, and obviously not be worried about any predators trying to kill them. Now, even in my scenario, if you do got a fuge, I personally did it at night as well for the same reasons. Luckily, I don't have any wrasses or damselfish that'll chase them, but just to be on the safe side, I did it at night. And I recommend both at night for both a fuge, or if you're throwing them in an all-in-one in the main display. In the all-in-one, if you want to put them in the return, go ahead and do so, but I'd much rather see you put it in the display so they can go ahead and grab onto the rock. Once you did add them, it's very straightforward. It's really cool to be watching them swimming around. You can see here. But yeah, once you add them, you're pretty much done. You don't need to worry about them whatsoever. I'd recommend you feeding them the next day with a phytofeast to make sure they're getting their nutrients, because that's what they eat. They eat phytoplankton. And again, your corals will also benefit from the phyto. There's plenty of organisms that'll be very happy that you are feeding it. And that's very straightforward. Like I said, Mother Nature will take its course. They'll reproduce. Of course, there'll be some that get caught in the sock, they get caught in skimmers, but as nature always does, it will prevail and they'll be reproducing. It's not a bad idea every 6 months, or every once a year, go ahead and order another batch, throw them in your tank just to keep your population up, especially if you do have mandarin gobies or any fish like that. They do prey on, these type of critters. It's a great idea at least once a year to replenish your stock of pods. And that's going to be pretty much it, guys, for this video. I really hope you guys got some useful tips and really saw the benefits on adding pods into your system. If you guys would like to check out the full product line of Reef Nutrition, because they got tons of stuff, they got coral foods, they got pods. I mean, they got pretty much got you covered as far as any of that food in that ballpark. So I'm going to highly urge you guys to check out Reef Nutrition. I'm going to have a link down in the description below directly to the website. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down in the comment box below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. How do you like adding pods into your tank? And what are your thoughts of having pods? Are they necessary? Do they not matter? Will they eventually get in your system? I'd love to hear what you got to say. Be sure you leave it in the comment down below. If you guys aren't subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. Thank each and every one of you very much for watching. As always, happy reefing.